Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to the Abundance Club. Thank you for tuning in. Let's take a moment. Let's take a moment. Whatever you're doing, whether you're on the move, whether you are in stillness, either way, we can take a breath together. We are breathing all the time, but how often are we actually being present in our breathing in this automatic process that's often very unconscious, not fully embodied? So let's take a deep, slow, embodied, so breathe with our whole body. Let's take that breath together in through your nose and out of your mouth, maybe. And you might just like to take a couple more as you let yourself land into you, land into presence. I was a yoga teacher for 15, 20 years. And at the beginning of the class, what's the first thing that we do? It's like we just unite our breath together. And straight away, in that instant, in that moment, we come home. It's really simple. We move from often where our attention is occupied, which most likely is outside of ourselves, and we just bring it back in. And in that moment, we shift back into our power and into our truth. Like, that's how powerful your breath is. And sometimes we need more, right? Like sometimes we just need a number of these slow breaths to bring us home, to regulate ourselves, to let our body know, okay, that's it. We're here. I'm ready. I'm listening. And so much of the time, we're living from our neck up. We're occupying just the top floor of the building, and we are just living and making decisions and choosing with our mind, with our intellect. And below the neck, our body holds so much wisdom. Like, the part of us that is the most magnetic is our heart, is our heart's energetic field. And when I ask people to come home, and if I to ask you right now, like, where is that? Where do you live? Where's home for you in your body? Whenever I've asked this, no one has actually put their hand on their head and said, it's here, Amy, it's up here. It's like, it goes straight to the heart, or it goes straight to the womb space. Like, that is home. So thank you for indulging me for those moments, the brief moments to just bring you home. And now you can receive, not just with your mind, you can receive this with every part of you, with every cell, with your whole self. All right. So today's episode, I wanted to utilize it to talk about, like, to really speak to the energy that feels alive. And I guess more broadly, because really this episode is relevant whenever you listen, whenever you're listening to this. And I want to speak to this process of our own internal evolution and awakening. That as souls, we are all moving through, every single one of us at this time. You can't be living on planet Earth and not evolving in some way. We're doing it at different speeds and different rates and in different ways. But collectively and individually, this is what's occurring. So I want to talk about it specifically of our highest evolution and how we manifest outcomes that are most aligned with who we are becoming, because we're manifesting, remember, all the time, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. That's essentially who we are. We're manifestors. We are co-creators. So we want to do that in alignment with who we are here to become, rather than from more of the same, rather than from the autopilot of our conditioning, which is how most people are manifesting majority of the time. And there is a much more elevated way to do that when you are in attunement with your soul and with your truth. Because you're here to upgrade. And you're here to say yes to that higher calling. But in order to do that, it's important that we gain an understanding of, like, what we do meet along the way, because it's not all pretty. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. We know that. We are living in the contrast of this earth plane, light and dark, shadow, illumination, all of the things. And something that I'm noticing a lot at the moment is many are going through what could be labeled as an identity crisis. And I don't love that label because I think it's got a lot of charge around it. Crisis feels really inflammatory and dramatic, and it's got a lot of negative connotations, as we know. Like we even hear that in like the midlife crisis or the identity crisis. So let's just take the charge out of that, because we're not meant to suffer through these transitions and these upgrades. And I think language is so important. And if we think it's a crisis, then it's going to be a crisis. If we get excited about it, if we see it as this beautiful up level and as a gift, that changes the whole game for us, right? So let's take the charge out of it and look at ways that we can in fact embrace these times of transformation and opportunities for deeper unification with who you are, your truth, your soul, your authenticity. Okay, so crisis is based on perception. And yes, if we are choosing to ignore the signs that the universe is giving us, or the signs that our body is giving us, and we're not listening, or we are continuing to stay in situations that on a deeper level we know are no longer serving us, right? And so we're ignoring that discomfort or that incongruency that we might be experiencing, then yeah, life may need to intervene. It's only going to give us so many nudges and signs and warnings until it can intervene. And that can feel more dramatic, right? That's where maybe the crisis have come from, because people have experienced those real kind of like Mack truck, universe has got to intervene because you haven't been listening. That's where, we could label as accidents and things happen, or things happen into our body, or we have a car accident, or blah, 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 blah. So this podcast and these teachings are to support us so that we don't ignore the signs, so that it doesn't get to that point where the evolvement requires crisis or pain or suffering, because I do not believe it needs to. But if we are continuing to ignore our body by living from the neck up, then we're not giving ourselves an opportunity to collaborate with ourselves. And when I keep saying selves, and it sounds like cells, like it's to collaborate with our whole self, to collaborate with the universe, which means that we've got to do our part. We've got to listen. We've got to notice. We've got to take the moves. So we are given opportunities by life to pay attention, to course correct, to prioritize ourselves. And life is not out to get you. It's here supporting you, loving you, because it wants you to evolve. You've chosen that with life, right? So what can feel dramatic, and things might feel dramatic for you at the moment. That's why I want to speak to this. You might be going through certain challenges where you're like, what the hell is happening? Why is this happening to me? That kind of energy. This is actually part of your evolvement. This is part of your awakening. Yeah, it's not always pretty. In fact, very rarely it is. But we can really start to shift our experience of it by how we approach it. So this is the part that, what we're moving through, we can't ignore. We're not meant to ignore. We're not meant to hide from it. So yeah, things might feel like at the moment for you, and I've been getting this feedback and experiencing people in my community who have been sharing this, and friends, things might feel like they're crumbling, right? Just because we've come out of the snake gear doesn't mean that we stop shedding. Like there's a real dismantling kind of energy that's happening at the moment, as well as we know, and I've spoken about before, like big revelations. So you might feel like you're in a bit of a pressure cooker. Stuff is coming up to the surface, and it might be things that didn't used to bother you, right? This is how quick you're evolving. So to an old you, it might not have, like, you may have just been used to tolerating that. But now something's being activated in you, and it's challenging you, and it's getting you to question things that you never have before. I wonder if you're experiencing this. The old identity, the old you would have probably just held back, said yes, settled, used a protective, adaptive quality to cope. And we've been so used to our whole life getting really proficient in utilizing that, whether that's people pleasing, whether that's control, whether that's holding back your words, swallowing your words, whether that's self-abandoning in some way, some it's saying yes when you mean no, like all of those kind of things, hiding, not making yourself visible, not expressing your truth. Those coping mechanisms aren't cutting it anymore because there's another part of you that's rising that's like, this ain't working, right? Because your soul has become stronger. Your soul is becoming more prominent, particularly if you're here listening to this podcast. Like, even just you listening to this, you're getting an upgrade, and it's like you're starting to allow your soul to come in and start to lead you. Now, the reason I want to speak to this is that in the process, it can feel destabilizing. And this is why, often when we're evolving and awakening, it can feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. It can feel like I feel like I'm regressing and things are going backwards. Right. So, and a lot of things are kind of heightened at the moment in this eclipse portal that we're in, this window between the two eclipses. We've got the fire horse, so it's a little bit more of that charge and activation, right? I really want to remind you guys that all of this is for you. So you can just put your hand on your heart and go, even the crisis, even the crumbling, even this energy of destabilization, like all of this is for me. Life loves me. And I don't care how many times you need to affirm that to yourself, that is truth. Because what is crumbling or what feels like it's shifting is the old identity. Really hear me with this. It's the old identity that can't hold what is asking to come in for you in this new era. And you have asked for this. Even if you're not conscious, your soul is already there preparing the way because you are starting to say yes to things that you wouldn't have before, like listening to this podcast, like maybe taking space to connect with your soul, like meditating, like being conscious of doing some beautiful nature, whatever it is, you're making this room. You are creating a new vessel that's going to hold more light than you have before. But for that to occur, the old has to crumble because it does not fit, right? It's like it cannot fit what is coming in for you. All of this new abundance, new energy, vitality, the upgrades, all of that. And that is this process that we're in. So it's actually your future self calling you forward into truer, deeper alignment with your soul, with who you came here to be. And that is exciting. And this is where we can really take responsibility for shifting the perception. And I've shared this before. You can do that really instantly by saying whatever's showing up in your life, whatever challenge, whatever crisis, whatever little speed hump, what a gift. What a gift. Immediately you are shifting your perception of it because you know everything that's showing up for you at the moment is for you. So a question I want to ask you then, along with maybe reading the books and doing the podcast and understanding okay, yeah, my soul is calling me. Are you making space to devote? Are you making space to connect with this aspect of you, the one who is inherently whole? Your soul is whole. You're whole. The truth of who you are is whole. You can't not be. You're worthy. You're so worthy. There's nothing actually that you need to do to become more worthy. And you are so abundant. You are no less abundant than anybody else. You don't go into a forest and go, that tree is more abundant than that tree. Because, we can only even see the tree on the surface. We don't even know what's going beneath the surface and the root systems and inside the trunk, all of this, right? There's no tree that's more worthy, that's more abundant, that's more whole. Okay, so what would you do right now in your life? What would you do if you were to actually let her lead, this divine aspect of you that's connected to all there is, what would you do differently right now? What move would you make? What would you say no to? And there might, like, part of this might feel a bit rebellious. Oh my God, you mean I can actually say no to that invitation? You mean I can actually go after that? You mean I can start to prioritize like those little whispers and little nudges? Yes, yes, yes. What would you prioritize if you made a choice to allow that aspect of you that doesn't need anything because it's already whole, that knows her desires are an inevitability, they're already done? What would be a move that you'd make? How would you show up, right? If you can begin to shift into that level of soul authorship or soul leadership, I can tell you right now that life has no choice but to reflect your internal state. Stop waiting for the outer to change and start becoming it from the inside out. Everything is you pushed out. All of it is you. But we get afraid to do this because we worry. Like we get afraid to show up in a different way, or we get afraid to make the moves, or we get afraid to say no to this person, whatever it is. We get afraid of this because we worry what people will think. We're so invested in what people will think, or that we're going to let someone down, or we're going to disappoint a friend or a husband or a colleague or kids or my family or my parents. We get afraid of what might fall away when we actually start to align with our true essence. We get more afraid of offending others than betraying ourselves. That's wild, but that's true for so many. And if this feels like it's the case for you, I'd love to challenge you there and just ask, like, how is that going for you? Why are we waiting to prioritize ourselves until this happens or that finishes or this comes through? Like, I want to ask you, what in your life are you waiting for right now? And what if you started living as if it was already so? It's like you've just gone to the bank and cashed a $10 million check. And you know that it's coming, but there's a certain number of clearance days, right? So you know it's already on the way to you. There's no question of that. It's inevitable, right? Whenever you put something in the bank, it's going to come. So then how would you spend those days? What would shift in you? How would you feel? Like it's that kind of energy. When we get so certain that life is rigged in our favor, we get so certain that everything is for us, we get so certain of the abundance that's coming and the desires that are already done, that we start living inherently as the version of us who already has it, who already knows that. Do you know how powerful? Can't even get that word out. Do you know how powerful that level of certainty is? It moves mountains. And what I want to say to you, if you are caught up in worrying about what's going to happen if, what happens if I do this, even though you can feel that there's guidance within that's asking you to, what I want to say to that is like, no one else is in your body. No one else has your soul calling. This is your life. Who are you living it for? And are you going to start to live it as your highest priority, this calling? And teach your nervous system on the way that it's safe for you to expand in this way. We haven't been taught how to expand, we've been taught how to shrink. And how's that going for you? Because right now, you likely know that there is an aspect of you that is calling you to rise, to show up in a whole new way. This is what's happening, like fire horses kicked in. It's go time. And there's no more powerful time right now than for you to become the author of your own life and for you to start to script out a new life, particularly if you're not phased, if you're not overly excited about what you're experiencing in your life right now, if it's not preferable to you. Okay, enough with the waiting, enough with the looking out. Who are you becoming? right? And the part of you that's resisting this or struggling with this is the aspect of you that tries desperately to cling to the past, to what is known, to what is familiar, because that's what it considers safe. The part of you that needs to know that everything's going to be okay, that everything's going to work out. It needs to know, where am I heading? What's certain? What's predictable? Like, that's the part of our brain that literally seeks predictability. And it needed to back in the day when we lived in caves and we had to go out and hunt, and we needed to kind of predict it, like what time I would be coming back, or how long it's going to take, or what my chances of survival are, right? That is that part of the brain, the reptilian part of the brain, that right now is likely calling the shots in your life, telling you it's unsafe for you to be visible. It's unsafe for you to go after what you want. It's unsafe for you to prioritize yourself. So I'm going to keep looping in the doubts and the fears and the past. Enough with that part of you leading. It has never been meant to lead. It is meant to keep you alive, period. And you becoming more visible, or you going after your dream, or you saying no to this person is not a death threat. And our system needs to know that. So, yeah, it's going to stretch the current you, it's going to stretch that identity. And it is meant to, because expansion is for you on the other side of this, right? So, you can't work out where I'm going. Is it going to be okay while staying identified with the ego self? And this is why so many experience anxiety and depression, or turn to addictions or substance abuse, because they don't feel at home in themselves. They don't know who they are. And this is where it can seem like it's a crisis, because right now we're experiencing old paradigms crumbling, because we're preparing for the new paradigm. And we're going to see more and more of this if you are not at home in your soul. When you are at home in your soul, you trust in life, because you let your soul lead, and your soul already knows the plan. It knows the destination. It knows what's going. It's just the logical, ego-based mind part of you, our human senses, that can't predict. And so it chooses to stay back in safety. So it might feel like for you at the moment that you're dancing between the old you, which is heavily influenced by the ego identity, forgets its power, believes in separation, etc., etc. You might be dancing between that aspect of you and the evolved you, who's on the other side of this challenge, whatever you're experiencing, living in the upgraded timeline. And maybe for you, and I've had this experience recently, like things might feel quieter, but the silence, in that silence, you're evolving, you're upgrading, right? And so, what is all of this asking you? It's not here to pull you off track or derail you or punish you. It's asking you to be more you. It's asking you to actually be more you than you ever had before. Because your ego identity, your old self, is not who you truly are. It's the constructed identity. It's the constructed personality. And so we're going to see more and more of that. What is false? What is built on fear? What is not real? Dismantle and crumble. We've been seeing that collectively already, and we're going to continue to see that. And you're likely experiencing it on a personal micro level as well, because the outer is a reflection of the inner, right? This is why I'm like, don't waste your time getting pulled into the drama and the trauma outside of yourself. Tend to your own inner landscape. Pull out the weeds there, nourish yourself, and then you'll see the shift on the outside. So we are being moved into our authentic power. And what is that? When our personality, our identity aligns with our soul. And those who rise into their authentic power are going to be the ones who lead in this new paradigm, those who answer the call, the ones who are going to experience the abundance and freedom and joy that is destined for them. And you can't get there using the old model of reality. Self-abandonment, creating from lack and scarcity, hustle, clinging to the ego needs and wants, staying in patterns of addiction and distraction. All of that's going to keep you tethered to an old, outdated timeline that, and what's maybe felt comfortable in the past, it's not going to feel like that anymore. It's going to actually feel like deep misalignment. And this is where some of the emotion is coming up. This is where we might be feeling a little bit of that kind of dark night of the soul, is because it's the incongruency. It's like, this no longer works. I can't ignore this anymore. You can't pretend anymore. You can't hide anymore or hold back your truth. Is exhausting. And perhaps for you, your body is showing you that at the moment. Maybe things are affecting you more energetically, or your physical body is literally showing you the misalignment. And this is why it's so important, like, to inhabit your body, to let it speak to you, to come home to you. We are not meant to transcend our physicality. We're meant to descend into our physicality. And that's how we access this, by coming home into our body. I had recently this hip thing talking, I don't know if I told you, I am training to do this half marathon. I'm laughing because I've literally only just started running and a friend has invited me to do this half marathon. And it's a little bit scary. And interestingly, as I've been running more, it's revealed a few hip things, particularly on my right side hip. And I know, because I've worked with my body for a while and been an embodiment and a somatic teacher for so long, that we store a lot in our hips and a lot of past. And I know that our pelvis is also related to stability. And so I've had to go in and talk to my body, talk to that part of me, make room for it, hear the messages. We hold so much wisdom in our body. So in all of this, your essence, your true essence is wanting to shine through. And the question is, are you fighting it or are you allowing it? Because what happens now, what you choose now, activates the timeline that you are going to experience in the coming months. It's why it's said around this time with the eclipse portals and so forth, like we can prepare for these quantum shifts. Quantum shifts. If you choose that, you have soul sovereignty. If you choose that. So now is not the time to shrink back into the familiar patterns, as tempting as that may be. You are not here to appease the ego, you guys. You're here to radically follow the deep callings of your soul. And will things fall away and crumble as you do that? You bet. Will it likely feel like loss? Yeah. But you can't lose anything that's not truly for you. If it's one thing I've learned over this past year deeply, with a lot of shedding and loss, what is meant to come with you cannot be lost. And often it's in that letting go that we up level dramatically, that we make the necessary space for what is ours to come through, that we upgrade our vessel. Right? And if I can offer you anything here, it's to ask yourself the question, and I know there's been a lot of questions. How can I allow more of the unfolding? Like whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, put your hands on your body, connect with yourself, and just, how do I allow this? How can I allow this unfolding? Because when we try to control it or make meaning out of it, whatever is occurring for you in your life right now, we're putting our energy into the past. It's already done. What's available to me now? It's time to discover and get to know who is the version of you that lives from their authentic power, that lives on the timeline where your desires are already manifested. Like, we can literally collapse time by aligning with that version of ourselves now. You do this inner work. You are going to be so rewarded for this, because the next level you, who you are when you are in your authentic essence, is going to attract in the outcomes and experiences and abundance that is beyond what has currently been available for you at the level of your current identity that you've been used to operating from. So, how do we actually do this? How do we move through these shifts swiftly and these upgrades without fighting ourselves, without the pressure or the doubt or the fear that comes up when we begin to step into more? It really comes down to your identity evolution, to reconnecting with who you are at the core, feeling into who you're becoming and giving yourself full permission to step into the next level version of you that your soul has been calling you towards. And this just happens to be the cornerstone, the pulse of the work that I do in my mentoring, guiding you, guiding women to settle into their nervous system, guiding you to embody your highest frequency, your highest self, and to align with the experiences and the abundance and opportunities that are truly meant for you, the ones that your soul has been nudging you towards all along. And you then become, like, who you are on the other side of that is the woman who naturally then magnetizes in the life her soul is calling her to live. The woman who feels safe holding this expansion, trusting her desires, who doesn't collapse under the weight of what she's calling in. These sessions are powerfully impactful. We work together to shift identity and to anchor in to your soul's frequency and to also open up the channels of receptivity for you so that you can stay really aligned with that soul calling. So you know how to actually start to heed the wisdom and the calling and the guidance of your soul. And settle your nervous system so that the experiences and abundance and the joy that's already yours can actually start to arrive into your life without the force, without the old ways of operating, without the chasing. So I welcome you into that if that calls to you. And it's crazy to think that we would choose to do it any other way. It's crazy to think that we would choose to hold ourselves back in this way, but we have those opportunities. Not everybody is going to answer that calling. But if you want the support with that to upgrade, to shift into it, details are in the show notes. I have single sessions, like you can jump in for a single session, or you can go into the full portal, which is my 2-month one-to-one mentoring, which is called Flourish. And that's the whole premium high touch package. So you can integrate along the way with me in between our sessions, which just keeps you anchoring in this timeline that's available for you now. It's so exciting. What a time to be alive, you guys. So that's it from me today. Please feel free to share this episode if it spoke to you and you think that somebody else could benefit from it. Perhaps send it to one person that you value, or 2 or 3, but at least one. And I would so love it and appreciate it. As always, I know I ask this a lot, but it really means so much if you could take the moment to give us a review and make sure you're following along, because I'm so excited. We have so many incredible guests coming up. It just keeps getting better and better. And I'm really curating my guest list so that I know these are teachers and leaders who live from an embodied place. That is if you listen to that last episode I did with Tracy Litt, she's a powerhouse. And if you haven't listened to it, go and have a listen, because I've had so many people say to me how activating that episode was. And you guys, I love receiving your feedback. That really helps me to know what is speaking to you, what you're enjoying, what you want to hear more of. Send me an email, amy@thelightplace.com.au, if you would love to suggest something or offer some feedback around what really spoke to you, or what you love, or what guest you love, or what episode. Like, I'm here, reach out to me, or come into my Instagram, amy.wilkinson_ and send me a DM. Come and follow me there. I share more things there. Send me a DM and say, hey, I'm listening to your podcast. I'd love to connect there. All right, beautiful people. So much love your way, and we will talk again really soon. Go well.